Presidential Leadership Council and Saudi Ambassador to Yemen launch projects in Aden. Regional and international efforts are underway to push the peace process in Yemen. Authorities in Tai's governorate implement strict traffic plan to combat increasing accidents in the city. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English news with me, Rushan Fuad. Chairman of the Presidential Leadership Council, Rashad Al-Alimi, launched a number of infrastructure projects in public services with funding from the Saudi program. These projects included renovating the Aden General Hospital and Aden International Airport. This report has more details.
The conflict interrupted services and devastated the infrastructure of Yemen's vital facilities, making rehabilitation essential to restore normalcy to the country. On Wednesday, the chairman of the Presidential Leadership Council, Rashad Al-Alimi, accompanied by the Saudi ambassador to Yemen, Mohammed Al-Jaber, inaugurated a number of infrastructure projects and public services implemented and funded by the Saudi Program for Development and Reconstruction of Yemen.
Equipping the hospital came with great effort, which have come to fruition today. The total cost of renovation to procure the latest technology exceeded $25 million. Today, the hospital received an influx of patients, among whom are sought to undergo open-heart surgery. This is proof of the positive impact this development has yielded. We've also laid down the foundational steps for Aden International Airport, which might grow into the biggest airport in the region. Aden Governorate is worthy of these developments.
The projects included the opening of a number of phases of the Aden International Airport Rehabilitation Project and the official launch of work at Aden General Hospital. The developmental work served as a high-level confirmation that the chairman is willing to prioritize infrastructure projects and public services as a stepping stone to restore normalcy to liberated areas.
We continue to support our Yemeni brothers across various fields, across economic, political, relief and developmental spheres. This hospital came about as a result of the collaborative Saudi and Yemeni efforts. We've signed a 3-year agreement to fully operate the hospital. There are almost 229 projects in progress, ranging from small to medium and large. Among these projects is Aden Airport, and we've already completed stages 1 and 2.
Citizens in the liberated governorates of Yemen are anticipating a tangible transition to sustainable development and the reconstruction of what was lost in the war.
The number of African immigrants arriving in Yemen in the first third of the current year reached nearly 55,000. According to the International Organization for Migration, the number of migrants during the first third of this year represents an increase of about 121% over the same period in 2022. Warring parties in Yemen are serious about ending a devastating 8-year-old conflict. However, according to Saudi Arabia's envoy, it is impossible to predict when direct talks, much less a breakthrough, might happen. This report has more details.
Warring parties in Yemen are serious about ending a devastating 8-year-old conflict. However, according to Saudi Arabia's envoy, it is impossible to predict when direct talks, much less a breakthrough, might happen. Everyone is looking for peace, Mohammed Al-Jaber said in his first extensive comments after meeting with Houthi leaders in Sana'a last month. But he added, it is not easy to be clear about next steps. The comments appear to undermine expectations for an imminent agreement to end a civil conflict that has resulted in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people, both directly and indirectly, leaving 2/3 of Yemen's population dependent on aid. In April, Jaber, the ambassador of Riyadh to Yemen, went to Sana'a as part of a plan to stabilize the truce, which ended in October. However, no tangible agreements were made to push the process forward. A surprise rapprochement between Saudi Arabia and Iran that was announced in March appeared to revive the efforts to achieve peace in Yemen. However, conflicting viewpoints hinder the security of a quick, peaceful resolution. Jaber stated that Saudi Arabia views itself as a mediator attempting to facilitate an agreement between the rebels and Yemen's government, while the Houthis view Saudi Arabia as a party to the conflict. Meanwhile, Rashad Al-Alimi, chairman of the Yemeni Presidential Leadership Council, indicated in his first public remarks on the process that Riyadh was acting as a mediator. Diplomats and analysts have said that PLC members are unhappy with their exclusion from the negotiations, especially as they address issues like whether Yemeni oil income would be utilized to pay Houthi-designated government workers' salaries. While PLC members in Riyadh stated they've only received basic knowledge of talk developments, Al-Alimi pushed back on claims that the PLC had been sidelined.
2 people were killed and 6 others were injured in an explosion at a gas filling station in Abyan Governorate. Eyewitnesses confirmed that 2 civilians were killed and 6 others were injured in the station's vicinity as a result of the explosion. Small gas stations to supply small vehicles and cooking cylinders pose a real danger to the population in light of their spread among markets and neighborhoods. Residents of Marib complained of a wave of interruptions to the electric current service at the city gas station. A number of residents confirmed that the Marib gas station has entered a wave of frequent outages for the 5th day in a row. They reported that the duration of the outage was mostly 2 hours, compared to an hour of the regular power stations. Local sources in Ib Governorate reported that a man in his 30s was wounded by a bullet from an element of the Houthi militia. The sources stated that a young man was shot by a member of the Houthi militia. According to local sources, the Houthi militant shot the young man who owns a car cleaning shop on May 22nd Street west of Ib, after the young man refused to pay financial extortion. The traffic police in Taiz Governorate launched the re-traffic plan and the distribution of vehicles on all streets and neighborhoods of the city as part of the activities of the Arab Traffic Week. This has created widespread popular satisfaction. This report gives more details.
The streets of Taiz City appeared well organized in the early days of implementing the traffic plan. For the first time since the outbreak of the Houthi militia war 9 years ago, Taiz is free from traffic jam even at rush hours. The traffic police adopted a plan to organize the traffic in the city based on the population density of each region. According to a field study, the plan included nearly 22 internal lines to cover all neighborhoods and lanes.
We are working on developing traffic, facilitating the flow of pedestrian traffic, determining the locations of bus stops to eliminate traffic disturbances in the streets, all of which is to provide excellent service based on respect and adherence to traffic etiquette laws.
This created great optimism among the citizens, in which 11 bus stations were located to ease the traffic.
Since the implementation of the traffic plan, I've been walking in the street relaxed and happy as the traffic is well organized. I thank the traffic men for this. In the past, traffic was difficult due to the traffic jam during rush hours, unlike now. Thanks to the new traffic plan, things are good.
The traffic plan led to a noticeable better flow in the street, despite the resentment of some, especially university students, due to the extra transportation expenses.
As students, we find the new transportation movement difficult. Now, we go through 2 bus stations instead of 1. This costs us more, and we appeal to the officials to make the university bus pass through one step.
The implementation of the traffic plan in Taz comes within the activities of the Arab Traffic Week, considering transportation as a human right and stumbling it is a violation.
Coming next. Torrential rains and flooding continue to hit major areas in Yemen and cause serious damage. Welcome back. Yemen participated in the meetings of the General Council of the World Trade Organization held in Geneva. The meeting, which was attended by Yemen's permanent representative to the United Nations and the World Trade Organization, addressed a number of issues related to the multilateral trading system and the promotion of the trade exchange process of the member states, especially the committees of e-commerce, agriculture, and reform of the World Trade Organization. Shipping sources revealed that the government imposed new customs duties on merchants importing through the port of Aden. The sources said that the additional fees are estimated at 2 million Yemeni riyals for each container entering the port, which forced many importing merchants to transfer their goods from the port of Aden to the port of Hodeidah, which is under the control of the Houthi militia. The government had earlier raised customs duties by 50%, which caused an increase in prices, especially basic commodities. Houthi-controlled areas are witnessing higher prices even more than other parts of Yemen. International sources reveal that this is due to corruption, which has prevailed by the militia. The following report has more details.
An international report revealed that food and consumer prices in government-controlled areas are lower than prices in areas under the control of the Houthi militia, which confirms the fake exchange rates in areas controlled by the Houthi militia. Food and service prices continue to rise in Sana'a and Aden, despite the inconsistency in the exchange rate. According to an international report, food prices in Yemen increased by 4% from January to February 2023. Driven by the depreciation of the exchange rate, which is the highest rate recorded since January 2021. The report, which is issued every 2 months by the Capacity Assessment Projects, provides an overview of the main economic trends in Yemen, said that the cost of the minimum food basket in the areas of the legitimate government amounted to $99, and in the areas of the Houthis to $103. The stability of the real price in Sana'a is due to the strict application of the Houthi militia to a fixed exchange rate, as well as the gradual decrease in the supply of old issue banknotes, with large amounts of them damaged and unusable. According to the report, which provides an analysis of commodity prices, the exchange rate, the volume of fuel and food imports, and major contextual event, the total volume of food imports increased by 12% in the period from January to February 2023 compared to the previous 2 months. It pointed out that food imports through the ports of the Red Sea and the South increased in January by 4.5% over the 12-month moving average. and in February, they were higher by 10%. Yemen imports about 90% of its food and fuel needs in hard currency, and the fluctuation of the riyal price negatively affects commodity price. And according to the latest official statistics, the total bill for Yemen's imports from abroad reached $9 billion in 2021.
Abdullah al-Salal, son of the first president of the Republic of Yemen, revealed that the Houthi militia looted documents related to the Yemeni revolution. The letter included a biography on the September 26th revolution and the siege of the 70, stating that in December 2017, the rebels stormed his home and looted important private documents. Despite the passage of 6.5 decades since the revolution of the 26th of September, many researchers still agree that there are several facts about the revolution that have not been revealed. Torrential rains killed at least 24 people in Yemen since the beginning of May. The National Meteorological Center issued a new warning to Yemenis against passing by water courses. The center forecast rainfall across the country's central and northern highlands in Sada, Hajjah, Damar, and other regions, advising residents to avoid traveling through flood courses. A number of residents in Damar complained about flooding of sewage and torrential rains in the streets. Local sources said citizens were exposed to water leakage as a result of torrential rains that mixed with sewage, especially the inner lanes of the city of Damar. The United Nations warned that torrential rains and flooding hit major areas in Yemen. The following report has more details.
The heavy seasonal rainfall since mid-March has caused flooding in many of Yemen's governorates, affecting more thousands of families in internally displaced camps. The heaviest downpours have damaged IDP shelters, crops, roads and buildings in the governorates of Al-Jawf, Ma'rib, Sayoun, Taiz and Al-Mahra, leaving 14 people dead and more than 30 injured. Yemen Red Crescent said that nearly 1,000 buildings have at least partially collapsed. Its volunteers have evacuated some IDPs from at-risk camps to schools, assisting nearly 2,000 families in total so far in the season. Yemen's National Center of Meteorology has forecast severe weather over the next few weeks in parts of the country, including heavy rainfall and thunderstorms and more flood-related disruption. It warns that flash floods and landslides are possible in areas accustomed to heavy rain, as well as dangerous driving conditions. Also, fishermen are advised to be cautious of turbulent seas. Sustained heavy rainfall could trigger flooding in low-lying communities and valleys, as well as urban flooding is also possible where drainage systems are easily overwhelmed, and landslides in hilly or mountainous areas where the soil has become saturated. The rain also exposed people to significant health risks, especially in the IDP settlements of Hajjah, Hodeidah, Taiz and Ma'rib. When packed up storm drains generate stagnant pools that are ideal breeding grounds for mosquitoes and bacteria. Rapid Response Mechanism emergency teams stepped up in its response to assist flood-affected families with operational presence in all of the 12 flood-affected governorates. Evacuating families who dwell in areas that are hard to reach and hosting displaced people is a top priority to save their lives in such severe weather in year's first rainy season.
Here is a reminder of the main headlines. Head of Presidential Leadership Council and Saudi Ambassador to Yemen launch projects in Aden. Regional and international efforts are underway to push peace process in Yemen. Authorities in Taiz Governorate implement strict traffic plan to combat increasing accidents in the city. This is the end of the news. It was Rushan Fuad. See you soon.